Patriots owner Robert Kraft has stated over and over his fondness and belief in Mac Jones, even defending him after last year's debacle. And Mac in attendance along with Tom Brady and Devin McCourty at Kraft's recent bash in the Hamptons. That picture got the attention of the Boston Globe's Ben Volen, who writes this: Belichick better tread carefully with his young QB, who evidently is a lot tighter with the Patriots owner than we realized. I don't have kids, but I know this. Every parent has a favorite. Looks like in the Patriots family, Mac Jones is Robert Kraft's new son, a place the overachieving Belichick has never found a way to occupy, and that spells trouble for the Patriots head coach. Hello and welcome to Arbella Early Edition. I am Trenni Casey. Belichick has the 6 Super Bowl titles, the decades of experience, a place among the greatest to ever coach in the NFL. Mac Jones, he has one decent rookie season on his resume and one season that was an unmitigated whiny disaster. Yet Jones is the one that Kraft can't seem to get enough of. Kraft is a strong believer in what Mac can do in the field. He's a self-proclaimed big fan of the third-year quarterback. Last year, it was the Patriots who made it difficult on Mac, not the other way around. Now, you juxtapose that with how Kraft has talked about Bill recently, including putting the coach on notice that it is not win totals that matter, it's playoff appearances.
Look, I'd like him to break Don Shula's record, but I'm not looking for any of our players to get great stats. That isn't, we're about winning. It's very important to me that we make the playoffs, and that's what I hope happens next year.
It is hard not to think that if push came to shove, Kraft might choose Mac over Bill. It's also no longer difficult for me to conceive of a time where Bill no longer has complete autonomy over roster decisions. If Bill prefers to give Zappe a whirl, does Robert Kraft allow it? Or would he make it clear that the team will stick with Mac come hell or high water? I'd have your wellies ready. For more, let's bring in Perry and Amina Smith. You can also join our conversation by voting in our poll. Who is Robert Kraft more loyal to right now? Right now, guys, it is a 50-50 even split. I voted Mac Jones only because, Phil, and you cover this team day in and day out, it has felt like the last couple of years, in particular in February and March, at things like the owners' meetings and general manager meetings, Robert Kraft has put Bill Belichick on notice, and I don't think how he liked things went last year, and I don't think he thinks it's Mac's fault.
Robert Kraft's loyal to winning, and I know that's going to be perceived as a cop-out, but that's the truth, and I believe that he believes both of these guys can still help him achieve that goal. Now, has he put the screws to Bill Belichick and some of the things that he has said, maybe behind a microphone? Sure. But he also said that he does still believe in Bill Belichick, and I think if he didn't, Bill Belichick wouldn't be here. I really feel strongly about that. But I would say this, I think just as Mac Jones feels like he has to earn the respect of everyone in the building at One Patriot Place, Bill Belichick included this year, I think there is some trust that Bill Belichick has to earn back from Robert Kraft, Amina, because you can't look at the decision that Bill Belichick made with the offensive coaching staff last year, how some of those games ended, how that Raiders game in particular ended last year, how the last 4 years have gone where they haven't won a playoff game, and not have those things add up and have it in some way, shape, or form chip away some of that trust that you've invested in him over time. So Bill Belichick has some work to do this coming season, as far as that stuff goes.
I do think you're right when you say that Robert Kraft is loyal to winning. But then I think, and I look at that social media post, and I think to myself, okay, how many NFL players are getting invited to the owners' like shindigs during the summer? I'll tell you, not that many. Not that many guys are getting invited, especially when you take a look at Mac Jones and what he's done on the field. So I almost feel like Robert Kraft is looking at Mac Jones as the future of the New England Patriots, and maybe looking at Bill Belichick. You talk about him trying to regain that trust. He might be like, okay, well, you know, the time might be up a little bit for Bill Belichick and looking forward with Mac Jones. I think that's why he's trying to get close to him to let him know, hey, we're going to hand you the reins to this team, and we need you to take us into the future and get this fan base excited about New England again.
I do think confidence could be a part of it, Trenni, right? Bringing the quarterback under your wing, showing him taking him to the Hamptons.
Especially when the head coach hasn't always showed confidence in him.
Yeah.
I think, listen, how he has been portrayed by those on his team and his own bosses at times over the course of the last year, even the owner would have to look at that and say, okay, this guy could use a little bit of pumping up. But I hesitate. Here's where I stop. I stop when I see that picture on social media and we see Brady and Mac Jones and Devin McCourty. and we assume it says something about Bill Belichick. That's where I think we're making a little bit of a leap here.
So I don't think the picture itself says anything about Bill Belichick. To me, it's more all of the circumstances surrounding it. Like you mentioned, well, if Robert Kraft really wasn't happy with Bill Belichick, he wouldn't have his job right now. He does have a job, but in this offseason, they also gave a very lucrative contract to Jerod Mayo and went out of their way to keep him from interviewing elsewhere so that he would stick around here. And what we don't know for sure, the general notion is he is waiting in the wings. And if Bill Belichick does not do what Robert Kraft wants him to do this year, then maybe it becomes Jerod Mayo's team.
Yeah, and I think honestly that is a fair assessment of the situation. But it doesn't mean that Robert Kraft isn't going into the season and saying to himself, well, I think Bill Belichick still has his fastball. Yes, I've made contingency plans. Yes, I feel like I'm putting some pressure on him to try to get more out of him. But you also talk to people that have been around Bill Belichick, as I have this offseason, and those discussions come up. What's Bill like behind the scenes these days at this stage of his career? And they'll tell you to a man, he still has it. When it comes to situational football, and even though those ends of game situations didn't look great at times, he's still on top of it as far as the stuff that he's always been on top of. If you want him to reshape your offense and try to come up with something new on the fly and pick a play caller, obviously that didn't go great last year.
No.
But the stuff he's been good at for a long time, what I've been told is, people believe he is still good in those areas, and I believe Robert Kraft is among those.
I mean, to that point, could you see, and as I said in my monologue, I do, could you see a point where Robert Kraft, who rarely steps in on roster things, if Bill Belichick seems frustrated with Mac Jones or like he wants to make a change, can you see Robert Kraft stepping in and going, this is our guy, you're sticking with my guy?
I honestly think I could see Robert Kraft doing that. Maybe not publicly, but behind the scenes. But I do feel like Robert Kraft has been dropping breadcrumbs over the last 2 years just about Bill Belichick and where he wants this New England team to be. I think that the pressure is sort of mounting on Bill Belichick, and Robert Kraft is putting that pressure on him. I do feel like, when you look at this team, the more and more they don't succeed and go to the playoffs, it's almost like I said, like the time is ticking on Bill Belichick. And just like Robert Kraft said, he wants to win. That's all he cares about. Phil said it, just moments ago, that he's loyal to winning. So although Bill Belichick has been there for decades, if this team is not winning, then anybody is liable to go.
I don't think Bill would step in that situation, Trenni.
Kraft.
Robert. I don't think Robert would step in, but I think that the message would be something along the lines of, it better
Figure
work.
it out.
It better work, because 8-9 to the Krafts, I believe that they believe that's unacceptable.